What if Jinwoo was in Jujutsu Kaisen? Now, I already did a similar one on my main channel of what if Tanjiro had the solo leveling a power system. One of my favorite videos. Go check it out right now. But we're doing what if Jinwoo was in JJK. Now, we need to figure out which version of Jinwoo we're putting in here. Because if we use one that's way too powerful, like when he was fighting the final god level enemy at the end of the series, we can't really put him in. At that point, the only one who would even have a chance is Gojo with his infinity, because he can't get touched. And even then, I still think Jinwoo would somehow surpass that. So instead, I want to pick Jinwoo at the end of Season 2, around the Jeju Island arc. I just rewatched the entire Season 2, so I really wanted to do this anyway. At this point, he's already extremely powerful. He has Baru, he has a late-stage Drake, and he literally just defeated a massive dungeon to get the life elixir for his mom. He basically soloed an S-rank gate, so I think this works perfectly. I'm going to place him at the very beginning, when Gojo and Megumi find Yuji at the school. Jinwoo is already a natural sorcerer, but he uses cursed energy. He still has his own technique, which is shadow extraction, just adapted to cursed energy instead of mana. Everything he does is basically the same, just converted into the JJK power system. He's also around the same age as Gojo, and this actually affects Gojo a lot. Now, I want to talk about Gojo and how he would feel in this timeline. Gojo wouldn't develop that I'm the strongest complex as hard, because Geto couldn't keep up with him in the original timeline. Now, we have a trio of 3 monsters at the top. I don't think Geto being evil would be avoided though. Jinwoo is there when Toji fights Gojo, and I think Toji would lose this time, because Jinwoo has Beru and elite shadow soldiers that can actually pressure Toji. Because of that, Gojo fully unlocks reverse curse technique, but this time, he's doing it alongside Jinwoo. Both of them keep climbing higher, while Geto slowly falls behind. Like I said before, I would want to think Geto stays good, but I honestly think he still turns evil. Jinwoo and Gojo become close. They're reaching insane heights together, and Geto is stuck at the bottom, watching it happen. That resentment still builds. Because of that, everything involving Yuta still happens mostly the same. Now, at the very beginning of the story, Jinwoo doesn't actually change much. Everything still happens the same. Curses exist. Sorcerers fight them. Yuji Itadori is a normal high schooler with insane physical strength. Megumi Fushiguro comes to Yuji's school looking for one of Ryomen Sukuna's fingers. A curse attacks the school. Yuji swallows Sukuna's finger to save Megumi. Sukuna awakens. Satoru Gojo shows up and completely overwhelms Sukuna. The higher-ups want Yuji executed. Gojo makes a deal. Yuji will live, collect all 20 fingers, and die later. Yuji joins Jujutsu Ha. Yuji meets Megumi and Nobara Kugisaki. They complete their first mission together. Everything continues normal. Alright, so after Yuji and Nobara complete their first mission and pass, now we get into what the higher-ups were really trying to do to Yuji, my boy. They send Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara to the detention center. This is when the higher-ups basically tell them to go there, and if they get jumped by that special grade, Yuji is supposed to let out Sukuna to beat it. But this time, Gojo already knows the higher-ups are kind of after Yuji, so he tells Jinwoo to put a shadow on all 3 students just in case anything happens, so he can shadow exchange. Now, once Jinwoo sees that they're in real trouble, he shadow exchanges straight to Yuji. Right before Yuji is about to turn into Sukuna, Jinwoo stops him and breaks the finger barrier himself. He easily kills it and easily exorcises it. Because of that, Yuji stays alive. Megumi never has to fight Sukuna, and Yuji never has to make that binding vow with Sukuna. So this time, Satoru Gojo and Yuji never get that secret one-on-one training. Well, they still train, but it's not a secret anymore, because Megumi and Nobara already know Yuji is alive. He still does the movie training they did in the original timeline though. Now after this, we get to the Mahito arc with Junpei and everything else. But here's the thing, Jinwoo never shows up there. There's no reason for him to, because Yuji isn't in immediate danger. I know Yuji gets messed up in that fight, but he's not alone. He has a grade 1 sorcerer there, so Jinwoo doesn't need to intervene at all. Because of that, this arc stays exactly the same as the original timeline. Now we move into the Kyoto Goodwill event arc. This time, it's not really a big secret that Yuji is alive. So the event starts, and everything basically happens the same until the moment the special grade curses show up. This is where things completely change. I think Kenjaku would have a totally different plan here, because now Jinwoo and Gojo are both present at the event. And just because Gojo can't enter the barrier doesn't mean Jinwoo can't. Even if Jinwoo can't walk through it normally, he still has shadow exchange, so he could probably teleport inside without even going through the barrier. Now with that, Jinwoo is just way too strong and way too experienced. The barrier was meant to keep Gojo out. Like in the original timeline, Gojo would still try to disable the veil like he did in the original timeline to help from the outside, but because because of Jinwoo's presence, everything changes. Yuji and Todo would still fight together, but they would never fight Hanami. Maki and Megumi would never get as badly injured like they did in the original timeline. This time, Jinwoo handles everything perfectly, using his shadow soldiers to jump Hanami and make sure it can't escape. This is a massive change. Another special grade curse is already dead, because Jinwoo kills it pretty easily. He's one of the strongest beings in the universe, but because of that, Yuji ends up a little weaker overall, since he never gets that big growth moment fighting alongside Todo. So then next is the death painting arc. It happens exactly the same. There's really nothing that changes. Jinwoo doesn't even show up there. So, in Shibuya, there really isn't much that can be changed at the start. The curses only want gojo. They make it clear that if anyone else enters, they'll just start killing civilians. Because of that, Gojo goes in alone. And just like in the original timeline, he still gets sealed. Jinwoo does not stop this. He arrives at the prison realm closes. By the time Jinwoo steps into Shibuya, everything already happened. The strongest sorcerer, stronger than Sukuna, is already gone. And the curses, especially the special grades, are roaming around killing sorcerers and civilians. Now Jinwoo does his best using his shadows. Here's the thing though, to beat a special grade curse, he needs at least a really strong shadow like Igris, or top fighters like Baru or Tusk, just to at least hold them off. I know Igris and Baru could probably take one by themselves, but Tusk can at least stall one for a long time, so Jinwoo spreads out a massive amount of shadows, his shadow ants, his bears, and everything else, to protect people and escort civilians out. Honestly, it kind of gives the same vibes as what Geto did with curses, where he had a huge army. The difference is, Jinwoo has way more control, and his shadows are way more powerful. The first thing Jinwoo really does is clean up. He's clearing curses, securing areas, and transferring civilians to safety. Then Jinwoo finds Yuji Itadori, badly beaten by Choso. Jinwoo gives Yuji a potion and heals him back up, and from that point on, Yuji starts traveling with Jinwoo. Now this part isn't as flashy, because since Yuji never reaches that near-death state, Sukuna never gets released, so the curse's original plan completely falls apart. Yuji was supposed to be the key piece to force-feed Sukuna's fingers, but that doesn't work anymore. Realistically, trying to go after Yuji at this point is a death sentence, because Jinwoo is always with him. No one can capture him, and no one can kill him. Since Jinwoo is around Yuji, and Jogo arrives pretty fast in Shibuya, Jinwoo senses Dagon and everything else going on. Once Dagon's domain finally breaks, Jinwoo steps in and instantly kills Dagon. Now with Toji, Jinwoo has to go save Megumi, so he leaves elite shadows like Baru with Maki and the others. Before leaving, Jinwoo heals Maki and everyone else from the burns using potions. Then Jinwoo goes to Megumi, uses his shadows to assist him, and personally fights Toji. This time, Jinwoo kills Toji himself instead of Toji killing himself. After that, Jogo shows up and sees a massive number of shadows protecting everyone. Jogo starts tearing through them, but Baru stops him and engages him directly. Jinwoo shadow exchanges back in, boosts his strength, and starts boxing Jogo. He kills Jogo easily, similar to how Gojo did before. Because of this, the Shibuya incident isn't nearly as devastating. Mahito is still alive for a bit, but Jinwoo eventually finds him and kills him too. It's way easier in this timeline because Jinwoo has Baru, his other shadows, and Yuji helping. Since Mahito's soul needs direct damage, Yuji still plays an important role. Because of this, Todo never loses his arm. Choso becomes an ally. The casualties are massively reduced. With Jinwoo still around, the higher-ups never even talk about executing Yuji. Jinwoo takes over the role Gojo had, protecting Yuji and standing between him and the higher-ups. Since Gojo is gone, Jinwoo becomes that shield instead. Now, if you guys really liked this timeline, I'll make the rest of it, because JJK is such a long story, and I don't want to do it all in one video. So make sure to like and subscribe, and comment down below if you want part 2. If you guys don't like this timeline, or don't comment that you want part 2, then I won't continue it. So let me know down below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and also go check out What If Tanjiro Had the Solo Leveling Power System, because that one was really good.